What are the greatest works of literature? There are 1,000 great works of literature so far, and the list is growing more and more, because literature is about those considered to have creative or artistic merit or lasting value, and deemed to have intellectual value. The greatest works of literature comprises of 8 main sections. These are ancient literature, medieval literature, Renaissance literature, the 18th century, the 19th century, early 20th century, late 20th century, and recent publications. To save you time, instead of naming all 1,000 works of great literature, I am going to just name a few from the 8 main sections spanning from the ancient time to the present day. Please note that this is not a list of the greatest novels ever written, which is a very heated debate topic. Literature from the ancient times, we have the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is a story about Gilgamesh, who is a tyrant of a king who works his people to death and takes what he wants from them. He kills the young men and rapes the women. Nevertheless, he goes on a hero's journey to becoming a better person, leading him to the underworld. From this period as well, we also have the Iliad and the Odyssey, both written by Homer. We also have the Hebrew Bible and Metamorphoses by Ovid. So, from the medieval period, we have Beowulf, the Tale of Ganges by Mashkariah Shishkibu, the Canterbury Tales. What is the Canterbury Tales about? The Canterbury Tales is written by Geoffrey Chaucer. The Canterbury Tales are written in combination of verses and prose, which tells the stories of some 30 pilgrims walking from Southwark to Canterbury on a pilgrimage to the Shrine of St. Thomas Becket. En route, the pilgrims engage in a storytelling competition to win a meal in the Tabard Inn. Some of the tales are the Merchant's Tales and the Wife of Bath Tales, just to name a few. Moving on, from the Renaissance period, what comes to mind are the complete works by William Shakespeare, Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes, and lastly the complete works by Molière. The most notable works by Molière being The School of Wise, Taffetou, The Misanthrope, The Bourgeois Gentleman, just to name a few. So, from the 18th century, we have the great works like Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift, Clarissa by Samuel Richardson, The Sorrows of the Young Witherer by German author Johann Goethe. 19th century literature has been regarded as the golden age of literature, especially for novels. When we think of classic literary novels, this period comes to mind. For example, the complete works by Jane Austen, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, The Hunchback of Notre Dame by Victor Hugo, the complete works by Charles Dickens, The Three Musketeers by Alexander Dumas, Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert, the complete works by Leo Tolstoy, and lastly, The Time Machine by H.G. Wells, just to name a few. And in the early 20th century, you have the authors like Arthur Conan Doyle writing notable works of the stories of Sherlock Holmes, like The Sign of 4, The Hound of the Baskervilles, and A Study in Scarlet, just to name a few. Within the same period, you have James Joyce, who wrote classics such as Dubliners, A Portrait of an Artist as a Young Man, and Ulysses. We also have during this period A Passage to India by E. M. Foster, works by Frank Kafka, F. Scott Fitzgerald, who wrote The Great Gatsby. We also have Aldous Huxley, who wrote A Brave New World, and within this period we also have John Steinbeck of Mice of Men and Grapes of Wrath. Lastly, a special mention to George Orwell, who wrote Animal Farm and 1984, Down and Out in Paris. As we enter the 20th century, great works of literature comes from the likes of authors J.D. Salinger, who is most famous for Catcher in the Rye. We also have Fahrenheit 451 written by Ray Bradbury, Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien, Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov, Love in a Time of Cholera and 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez, and lastly The Crow's Road by Ian Banks. Recent literature would be classified as anything post-2000 CE. And works by the likes of Ian McEwan come to mind, who wrote Atonement, which was later adapted into a film starring Keira Knightley and James McAvoy. We also have The Life of Pi by Yana Martel, Kite's Runner by Khaled Hosseini, Never Let Me Go by Kazurohi Shirigo. If you enjoyed knowing what some of the 1,000 great works of literature are, please subscribe to our channel, whereby we will have a deep analysis of some of the novels mentioned.